Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're jumping into a really practical guide designed for non-resident entrepreneurs. We're going to show you exactly how to open a business bank account in Romania, and we're going to turn what seems like a complex process into a clear, step-by-step plan for you to access that massive European market. All right, let's jump right in. So let's kick things off with this question, because it really sets the stage. See, opening a bank account isn't just about paperwork. It's a huge strategic move. I think a lot of us assume it's this massive headache, right? But what if? What if it's actually way more straightforward than you've been led to believe? And why does that even matter? Well, because this is what's on the table. Opening that door in Romania gives you direct financial access to a market of 500 million consumers. That's an enormous playing field, and a Romanian bank account, well, that's your ticket in. Okay, so the big question is, why Romania specifically? I mean, you could open an account in a lot of places. This isn't just about taking a box, it's about picking a smart strategic gateway into the EU. So let's take a look at what makes its financial scene such a great option for international businesses. Look, the bottom line is the infrastructure is solid and it's already there. You got over 40 different financial institutions, all plugged right into the EU system. And maybe the best part? Check this out. Over 70% of new companies get this done within their first month. That tells you the system is designed to work and work fast. Okay, so we see the opportunity. Now, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. To make this happen, you've got to understand the rules of the game. And here's the key thing. It's not just one set of rules. You're actually dealing with what you could call a dual-layer system. You've got local Romanian rules, plus the broader EU regulations on top. Everything really boils down to three main pillars. First step is AML, which stands for anti-money laundering. Basically, you have to prove where your money is coming from. It's got to be legitimate. Second, you have ownership disclosure. This is all about transparency. The bank needs to know exactly who the real beneficiaries of the company are. No hiding. And third, of course, is tax compliance. This isn't a one-time thing. It's ongoing. Nailing these three, absolutely non-negotiable. All right, this is probably one of the most important takeaways. Get your documents sorted out before you even begin the application. This checklist here covers the absolute essentials. And you'll notice, the minimum capital deposit is tiny. We're talking like 45 euros. Super low barrier to entry. But, and this is a big but, pay very close attention to that last point. If you're from outside the EU, your passport or ID needs something called an apostille, plus a notarized translation. Seriously, this is the #1 spot where people get stuck and face delays. So get that done early. All right, so now we know why we're doing this and what we need. Let's talk about the how. We can actually break the whole thing down into a really clear 5-step process. Think of this as your roadmap, taking you from day one all the way to a fully active account. So here it is, the whole process laid out. Now look at the timelines here. Notice that document preparation is the part you have the most control over. After you submit, there's the compliance review. That can take 5 to 10 business days. That's the bank doing its homework, its due diligence. But look at the big picture. If you've got all your ducks in a row, you could be looking at a fully active account in as little as 2 or 3 weeks. Not bad at all, right? Okay, let's back up to that very first step, provider selection. This is a huge decision. It's not something to just gloss over. You're not just picking a service provider. You're really choosing a financial partner for your business. And your choice is probably going to come down to one of two main paths, the old school traditional bank or one of the newer modern fintech solutions. So let's put them head to head. On one hand, you have the traditional banks. Their big advantage, they are experts in all the tricky local regulations, and you can actually walk in and talk to someone. On the other hand, you've got fintechs. They're all about speed, low costs, and a totally remote experience. Think biometric video calls for verification instead of a trip to a branch. So which one's better? Well, it really depends on your business. In that choice, it's not just about convenience. It has a massive, direct impact on your bottom line. The way they charge you is completely different. So let's actually decode the costs and see what we're talking about. And wow, when you lay it out like this, the difference is pretty stark. You see a setup fee of maybe 50 to 200 euros with a traditional bank. With most fintechs, zero, nothing. But honestly, the real story, the hidden killer, is that exchange rate margin. That's the extra slice they take on every international transfer. A bank might take 3, 5, even 10%. A fintech is usually under 1%. That's a huge difference. So what does that actually look like in terms of savings? Well, as this chart shows, for the exact same transfer, going with a fintech can slash your costs by up to 85%. And if your business operates across borders, that's not just a nice-to-have saving. That is a serious competitive advantage. Let's put a hard number on that to make it super clear. Imagine you're transferring 10,000 euros. With a 10% markup, which isn't unheard of, that's 1,000 euros. Just gone. Poof. It vanishes in fees before your partner or supplier even sees a cent. That's the reality of these hidden costs, and that's exactly why digging into this stuff is so crucial for your company's health. Okay, so we've looked at the opportunity, we've walked through the process, and we've broken down the costs. Now let's wrap this up by talking about something that's on everyone's mind: safety. How do you make sure your money is secure? A question I hear all the time is, are these new fintech guys actually safe? And the answer is a big, resounding yes. They're built with multiple layers of security. We're talking 256-bit encryption, that's military-grade stuff. You've got multi-factor authentication, so it's not just a password, and they have systems constantly monitoring for any funny business, in real time. And on top of all that, your funds are protected by the EU deposit insurance scheme, up to 100,000 euros. That's the exact same protection you'd get at any big traditional bank. All right, so as we wrap up, let's just quickly recap the key takeaways here. First, Romania is a fantastic, accessible gateway to the massive EU market. Second, your success really depends on being prepared for that dual-layer compliance, both local and EU. Third, that 5-step process is your roadmap. Stick to it. Fourth, seriously consider a fintech. It can save you a ton of time and money. And finally, and I can't say this enough, get your documents ready ahead of time. It's the secret to a smooth process. And that really brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. The process is clear, the tools are out there, and that market of 500 million people is waiting. The gateway to the EU is wide open. So the only real question left is your business ready to step through it?